No, and now we can't hear you through your regular mic.
There, you can hear it now, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so
What you want to play, or is it the first question?
the reason I wanted to play Ribbit is because I felt bad for him. Because when you're a poisonous tree frog, you can't make friends, because if you touch them, then they'll die. So I thought if I played him, maybe it'd make me feel better for him.
Okay. Thank you. Hi, you want to start the show? What's your name?
Clara.
Hi, Clara. What's your question?
What was it like working with everyone in the movie?
So what's it like working with everyone in the movie?
Well, I worked with Chuck.
Hold it, Sean. Again, I can hear you only on my screen.
Okay, so I worked with Chuck and an engineer, and that's it. Oh, I guess I did get to work with a couple of people, but most of the time when you make an animated show, you're in a room, a little room, padded room, like for crazy people, and a microphone, and you just have to become a tree frog. So it's very lonely. It's not unlike what he sometimes feels.
Actually, you did work with one young actress. You want to tell us about that?
Oh yes, the princess at the end, who very begrudgingly kisses Ribbit and disappoints Ribbit because he was looking forward to it and then didn't like it. You just saw it. But anyhow, that princess was played by my daughter, Allie. So I wasn't in the booth with her when she was recording. I was just standing off to the side, eagerly watching my daughter become a princess.
So this was one of Allie's first roles, right?
Yeah, well, Allie was, when she was 3 years old, she was in The Lord of the Rings. She played Eleanor, who was the little hobbit daughter that came running up the path to Samwise when he finally got home after saying goodbye to Frodo. And she was wonderful. I think she might have had a scripted line of dialogue, but I don't think it actually came through in the thing. So I think, professionally speaking, this may be her first speaking part. Maybe. I don't know how to say it. But it's definitely, as a grown-up 17-year-old, it's definitely her first experience like that, and she loved it. She loved every second of it, and the worst part of it for her was that it had to stop, and she's ready for the next one.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much. What's your name? Maria. Okay, what's your question for Sean?
How did you get the idea for like all the different accents for the animals?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, Chuck can probably answer that better, because when I was watching the film and I saw the bat and I saw all the different the toucan and everything, and I heard how they sounded, I was just as surprised as somebody who's never seen the movie. So I thought they were really funny and sweet, but that's really getting the idea for them. That's inside of Chuck's brain. That's in Chuck's mind, creates all that stuff, and then he goes out and finds the people to do it.
I'll answer your question in a minute. Before we got Sean online, I want to let everybody come to him. Okay, but it's a good question, and I will explain that to you. Hi, what's your name? Trinity. What's your question for Sean?
Who's your favorite character you've ever been in a movie?
Ooh. Favorite character I've ever been in a movie. Special Agent Oso. Oh wait, that's television. Did you ever watch Special Agent Oso? It's all part of the plan. That's Oso. But then I also like playing Raphael in Ninja Turtles. Wait, that's another TV one. In a movie, ooh, maybe Mikey in The Goonies. Come on, don't you guys see? Don't you realize? Chester Copperpot was a pro. I'm doing lines from the movie now. And I'm very impressed that I can sound like I'm 12 again when I do that.
Okay. What's your name? Son? Avery. What's your question for Sean?
Do you play Sam in the book on stores on online the Bad Cases of Stripes?
Do you play Sam in Lord of the Rings and read a book online in The Bad Case of the Stripes? The Bad Case of the Stripes.
All right, let me say Avi, is it?
Avery.
Ah, Avery. Good questions, Avery. So yes, I played Samwise Gamgee, otherwise known as Samwise the Brave, or just plain Sam, the Hobbit gardener who goes with Frodo on the long adventure of the Lord of the Rings together. So that's me. I definitely play Sam. And that was the hardest job I ever had. It was the most fun, and it was the scariest, and it was the hardest, and I loved it. And I'm really, really proud of that movie. So when you guys get a little bit older, you can watch The Lord of the Rings. Avery, it sounds like maybe you already did watch The Lord of the Rings. So I hope you liked it. And then in terms of The Bad Case of Stripes, do you mean Camilla Cream and her lima beans? I love that book. I love that book, A Bad Case of Stripes. And yes, the Screen Actors Guild Foundation, the union, all the actors got together so they could help make more money together. And then they have a foundation, and that foundation likes to do cool things, and maybe even for kids sometimes. And so they put together a children's book series called, I think it's a Screen Actors Film Foundation or something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but anyhow, you can go to screenactorsguild.com. And yeah, I read that book. And the worst thing about that, the worst thing, we started going, and I got a little glass jar, and the glass jar had potpourri in it, sort of scented, perfumed flowers. And I poured them out, and then I put lima beans in it. So during the reading, I would hold up for the camera the lima beans. And at the very end of the story, if you haven't read it, Camilla Cream finally eats her lima beans, and then she gets better. All her stripes and spots and all the funny patterns go away. So I decided in that moment to pop open the jar and eat some of the lima beans. Well, the lima beans had been now soaked in the potpourri perfume, and I wanted to throw up. It was the most disgusting thing ever. And I was like, "Blah!" But I couldn't do because I had to keep reading for the last little bit of it. But anyhow, so that's, yes, I did that book reading.
Thanks, Sean. What's your name?
Gavin.
Gavin, what's your question?
How did you like playing all the characters that you ever played?
How did you like playing all the different characters you've ever played?
Well, sometimes you do characters that are very much like you. You don't even have to think about it. Almost Rudy, the football player, the guy who wanted to be a football player in college, that part was so much me, it just felt like it was a part of me. But then there's other movies, like I did a movie about kids who run away from home, and they get into drugs and stuff. And so I played that character, and that character was so different from who I am that it became a very good challenge for me to learn how to do it, to try and be realistic and believable as that person who's not like me at all. So, you know, I've probably done 60 or 70 movies or something. If you add in all the television shows and everything, it's probably over 100. And every time I get another script in front of me, which is the book, the words that have the words that you read, the dialogue, the words that you read in the movie, it's just a very new challenge. So I like it a lot. I like that feeling. I get to go. There was once a critic named Roger Ebert who passed away not too long ago, and his job was to watch movies and tell people what he thought about it. He was a critic. And he said that nowadays, he said, movies are like a window, a magic window. And you open the window up and you look inside, and it can be anything. You can be in outer space, you can be under the water, you can be in Louisiana or Ireland or India. It just all depends on what the filmmaker creates. So for me, I like the idea that when somebody lifts up that window and they're looking into that other world, the world of a different movie, that if I'm in it, I get to be a part of those worlds.
Sean, my next question is from Megan. Megan, how old are you? She's 4 years old, and she'd like to ask you a question.
Where did Ribbit happen?
Where did Ribbit happen?
Tell me her name again? Tell me her name again.
Now we've lost audio.
Tell me her name again.
Her name is Megan.
Oh. Okay, Megan, I remember, you're 4 years old. Okay, I have 3 daughters. Allie, who's 17, Elizabeth, who's 11, and Isabella, who's 8. And when Isabella was probably older than 4, she might have been 5. And I was in a cartoon called Special Agent Oso, who was a cuddly little bear who said things like, 3 special steps. And Special Agent Oso here. So anyhow, when I showed her that, I said, look, Daddy's in this show. And so she watched the TV, and she was waiting to see Daddy. And she was enjoying watching the bear and listening to the bear, but she couldn't tell that voice was my voice. And so I said, I really wanted her to understand that I, a boy, go into a room with a microphone, and I talk into the microphone. I say something like, hello. And then that sound, me saying hello, somebody like Chuck takes it and he draws the character, a character of anything, you name it, a monster. And he draws this monster and he does all those pictures and they make it come to life so it moves. And then he takes my voice and he puts it inside the monster's mouth. So the monster says, hello, but it's my voice magically turned into the monster. So when you think about Ribbit, now you know something that a lot of kids don't know, is that there's actually people who make those drawings and do those sounds and like that. So that's it. That's what I do.
Okay, Sean, we have one more question, okay? Because we know you're very busy today. What's your name?
Trinity.
This is Trinity. What's your question for Sean?
How did you get the idea of Ribbit?
How did you imagine your performance on Ribbit? How did you imagine?
Well, here's the thing. Wait. Yeah, you can hear me now, right?
All right. Yes.
Okay. So here's the thing. The idea for Ribbit, Chuck, it might have been yours, it might have been a writer. So when I learned about the story, Ribbit already was a character. He already had a look. He already had the words he was going to say and the things he was going to do. But he didn't have a sound. So when I showed up, Chuck and I worked together where I would do a voice and Chuck would say, can you do it a little different? Can you make it a little, that word longer, or make him sound a little, talk faster, or make him this or that? And then I would say, okay. And then together we came up with the sound. It's really a collaboration between the two of us, between me doing something I like and then getting it so Chuck is happy with it too. That's how the sound is created. So every idea of a frog I've ever had, a tree frog, and every idea that Chuck's ever had for a tree frog, mixed with all the cartoons I've ever watched in my whole life and all the cartoons he's ever watched in his whole life, we came up with Ribbit, the way you see and hear Ribbit now. But now listen, Chuck, you got to give me at least 1 or 2 grown-up questions.
We'll say this. I gave Ribbit his words, and Sean gave Ribbit his heart and feelings and emotions. So we kind of combined together, okay?
That's what I meant to say.
Hold on, I got a grown-up question for you here.
My name is Karen, and I would like to know what it was like living with Patty Duke. When I was a kid, that was one of my favorite shows here in Kansas, Patty Duke Show.
Karen, have you ever been to Disneyland? Did you ever go on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride? But growing up with my mom, Patty Duke, who's one of the greatest actresses who ever lived, who won an Academy Award for playing Helen Keller when she was 14, and then she went on to do a TV series called The Patty Duke Show, where she played the same person played 2 different parts. She played Patty and Kathy, And that was really exciting thing to have the same actor play two characters side by side. That hadn't really been done before in a show. And then she went on to do maybe 200 movies of the week where she was all different kinds of characters. That was my mom. She's has an illness. She's bipolar disorder, which she discovered or was finally diagnosed in 1985, and she's lived, managed her mood disorder really well with drugs and good therapy and all that stuff. When I was a little kid growing up with her, it was the highest highs and the lowest lows. My mom was so funny and so smart and so charismatic, and she always loved us, even during the hard times. But then other times when it was hard, it was hard. She'd get very depressed and sad and grumpy, and it was hard, But all in all, she gave me an acting career when I was a little boy. She said, "Do you want to be in a show with me?" And I said, "Did they pay me money?" And they said, "Yes, you get $10,000. I said, "Yes, I will do that." And I said, "Wait, do I have to be in class?" And they said, "No, you have to be in class on the set, but you don't have to be in school for 2 weeks." I said, "Yes, I'll do that." And so anyhow, it was really a good thing working with my mom. She's a great lady. She went on to become the Screen Actors Guild president, not unlike Ronald Reagan, who was Screen Actors Guild president. She's a wonderful lady. And actually we had, maybe this will be the last thought before I sign off, we had a moment this year where my mom came to visit my daughter Elizabeth's school, and it was, was she in 6th grade? It was her 6th grade class. And so they did scenes. They little kids would put on scenes that they had written, and then my mom would give them advice on how they did it, give them thoughts on how they did it, her opinion. And watching her work with these kids, watching how focused and smart, she didn't talk down to them. She talked right to them, and they really appreciated what she had to say. I was really inspired, maybe even more than all the stuff I've seen of her, because it was clear that she was at a place in her life where she could really give back, she's always given back, but I got to watch it, and because I don't see her very much because she lives in Idaho and I live in Los Angeles. But anyway, it was a fantastic life, and now when she's doing speeches and traveling around, and she had a little illness a few weeks back, but she's good now, so it's good. Thank you for asking about my mom. Chuck, do you want to ask me the last question?
Yeah. How's the con?
How's the con? Oh, the Wizard World convention that I'm at right now is fantastic. It's a Comic-Con in Philadelphia, and it's I would guess from looking at it that this weekend there'll be probably 25 to 30,000 people who come through, and they get to see actors that they love. More? 40,000? 50,000? 60,000? 70,000? 75,000? My colleagues here are telling me 75,000 people probably are going to come through the doors. And there's all these wonderful actors. Ralph Macchio from The Karate Kid is here. David Boreanaz from Bones is here. And Lou Ferrigno, who played the Hulk, is here. And there's all these wonderful, wonderful actors that I've known my whole life and friends with. And we all go and we sign autographs for people, and we take pictures with them. And we go onto a stage just like you're doing now. And we answer questions about the shows we do. And people just love it. So there's a Niagara Comic-Con, which is right now up there. It's like happening right now. And then there's also a big one in Toronto. And Canada really enjoys putting on these Comic-Cons. So I would encourage all of you to jump online and find out what's in a town near you and see if there's anybody any guests that are gonna be there who've been in work. Because you can't believe the people who show up. You haven't seen them in 40 years, and yet there they are signing an autograph, and you love their show. So the con is going great, and I love you all very much, and I'm glad you get. Wait, I wanna put you on speaker. Okay, now I can hear you. Did you like Ribbit?
We lost you. John, you're frozen on the screen here. So we've lost the visual.
Oh, okay. Well, that was a good answer, but
We can hear you.
you can hear me back on the screen?
Yeah, on the screen.
Where did I leave off?
You were just saying Comic-Con was great, that you go see it, and I think you were about to sign off.
Yeah. So anyway, Comic-Cons are great because you can see people that you know and love and that. But I want to hear from you guys. Did the audience, not you, Chuck, I want to hear from the audience. Let me hear by a sound if you liked Ribbit. That's pretty good. Well, let me just say, I think you should all give a big round of applause to Chuck. It's been his baby and his dream to make this movie for years and years. And if it wasn't for him, it could have stopped 1,000 times along the way. So let's give Chuck a big round of applause.
Thanks, Sean.
All right. I love you all. Gotta go.